Welcome to ranking everything I consumed in March of 2026. 13 things were consumed in March. 11 things will be ranked this evening. We're disregarding the final Evangelion rebuild and Chainsaw Man, but we are including Pokemon Fire Red version. Now, we usually disregard rereads or rewatches or replays, and which is what we are doing with the Evangelion rebuild, because it's a 5-star movie. It just clog up the top end of the ladder. Fire Red I hadn't played properly in probably like 6 or 7 years. And I feel like it should be ranked because I feel like I have a new lease on it. And unlike with the rebuild films or Ava well, that was this year or something. Sometimes you don't have a new lease on things and you don't think it should be ranked. I think Fire Red fulfills the spirit of the overall ranking for the year, whereas Evangelion wouldn't. Now, Chainsaw Man is also a thing where it's like, well, Chainsaw Man's like one of my favorite mangas ever, bro, so it gets a 5-star and goes at the top. But it doesn't really feel fair. Most of it didn't come out this year. It finished it at the very beginning. It just doesn't fit for me either, so we're disregarding that also. It'll be interesting because something like House of the Dragon Season 3 will definitely be ranked this year. Even though that didn't, well, I guess because the whole season did come out this year. But if the show was to finish, I would probably just rank the season, not the whole show. The show won't be finishing, but that's besides the point. Anyway, there might be rules to this. There might just be at this madman's whim. Oh, Madman, I love that show. I promise this isn't a subtweet. The fact that Takopi's Original Sin is the lowest ranked thing on this great list right now. I didn't hate Takopi's Original Sin. I did a whole discussion on it. And we're gonna make Alita sad with this one, okay? But honestly, I really have not thought much about Takopi's Original Sin since it ended at all. So does that mean it's a little forgettable, perhaps? I don't know. Nothing in the show really connected with me. I thought Takopi was cute, but the show kind of doesn't. Well, it does want you to think that, but the show that's not the point, bro. And it's weird because that is my favorite thing about the show, I think, in spite of everything around it. I will say the ending of episode 2 I did think was really cool, and sort of the beginning part of episode 3. I think generally, and I thought about this a little bit. Didn't you just say you didn't think about it? What a liar I am. I think the type of show this is, the very sad type of domestic show, I don't think I usually like shows like that. And I'm trying to think of another example. I guess I never actually watched more than one episode of Clanad, but the cry porn stuff, not that that really is what this is at all, but that stuff has never really appealed to me, and the suffering and something, unless it's a fighting show, then oh my god, Aaron's being beat up right now and he's really suffering. That's cool suffering. But I don't know, a little girl getting beaten up or whatever and silly bullying, my goodness. The bullying wasn't even that silly in the show. I don't know. I think there's just fundamental things that don't really connect with me about the show. So, oh well, we gave it the good old college try. It's not bad by any means, I think, and I don't think I actually added it to my mail yet. I should remember to do that. It's a 7 out of 10. I just think literally everything else on the list, except for the last two things maybe, is a 4 out of 5, which would be an 8 out of 10. So, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But look, I love Takopi's weird world that's in a different art style. That was kind of cool. Number 10, we got a terrorism documentary. Terrorism documentaries are a staple here on the channel, and it's also from 2025, can you believe it? The attack on London hunting the 7-7 bombers. You know, London's got bombers on a train or something? That was crazy. Now, I will say, I've been taking a lot of trains recently, and sometimes you think about these bombings and you get a little uneasy. So, terrorism has its terroristic effects on you. This one, I don't know. This one was good. There was a twist halfway through where it's and then the next week there were more bombings, and that's where an episode ends. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. That's crazy. But then it turns out they were all failed bombings. And there's a manhunt, and the police literally executed the wrong guy, who was some Brazilian guy or something, and they interviewed his family. That was a little sad. They even interviewed the cop that killed him, and it didn't seem really good, and he was all blacked out and stuff to not reveal. Hey, I'm talking about that. Not to reveal his identity. That's what I remember. These documentaries are super easy to watch. They're probably like the funnest things I watch. There's another documentary on the list too that I thought was better. But all the terrorism documentary ones are kind of the same, where it's like, man, tragic. And this was not like the Paris one, which was completely different, where that one was absolutely miserable. Also, it's a very different situation, like being in a 3-hour long active shooter situation versus like the bombing stuff, like the Boston bombing stuff, or this stuff, like it's over in an instant, right? So it's a very different sort of pathos, I guess, to these real life experiences. And that Osama bin Laden one was like probably the best one, because that shit was crazy. It was about like the CIA tracking him down and all the little ways they did it, and over like 10 years and stuff. Like that was cool. I guess that one's also like a happy ending, I guess. Whereas these ones aren't really. Leary's DMing me right now, distracting me. He heard about the Takopi's original sin rating and he's pissed off. But true, these are cool. And I don't know, I don't like using this word, everybody. It's an S word that ends in op. But sometimes I do feel a little sloppish when I'm watching these, like, documentaries. Like, they're very dramatic, and it's like, it really feels like brain food. Like, in one ear, out the other, kind of. There are things I just said that I remember from it. But it very much feels like almost junk food in a way. There's a lot of places for junk food, you know, and I love them. I'm going to continue. I watch like 2 documentaries a month now. I'm so into documentaries. But it's kind of like it's like kind of sloppy, and this isn't even in the slop way that I'm saying, but it's like kind of sloppy entertainment, and also like it's like very dramatized, so you don't really feel like you're getting like the straight facts or something. But then there's also like the pathos, which is probably what it's actually about, with like the interviews and stuff like that you like. So I don't know, it's weird. But they all get like a 4-star rating. And it's funny, the Paris one that was like different and actually confronting and stuff was like, oh, I don't want to watch this. Okay, this is crazy. Oh, I will say, I started watching the Manosphere documentary that came out on Netflix. I just couldn't do it. It was like too cringe to me. Like they had Myron on from Fresh and Fit or whatever, and he's sitting there with his girlfriend, and it's like really sad. And I was like, oh, I don't want to watch this anymore. This poor girl. Then I don't know. I didn't really think it was that entertaining just going around and talking to these guys. I only watched like half an hour, and I was like, ugh. It's like I already know all this stuff. It's like weird. So Louis Theres, I've only seen one of his documentaries or whatever so far. It wasn't that good. Leave him to Netflix, brother. I know he's done like 1 million documentaries. I wonder what nature documentaries are like the David Attenborough ones. I feel like whenever I watched clips of those on YouTube when I was like 15 or something, there was a little era where I really got into like wildlife clips and stuff. It's like, how does a shark hunt? Wow, this is crazy. You know, a tiger like walks in a circle all day until it like feels a disturbance in the soil, and that's when it knows there's a fucking rabbit to eat or something. And it's like, that's crazy, bro. And oh my god, there's a rhino in his path, and he's gonna run up, and the rhino just beat the fuck out of him. And then he climbs up a tree or something, and then eats a deer. It's like, oh, that poor deer is fucking dead. Those were cool, so maybe I should try some of those sometimes. But right now, we're on terrorism docs still. But, you know, there's a different type of doc that's coming up. At number 9, the first movie on the list is Black Bag 2025. I had a very interesting experience for this. So, first of all, I only watched this movie because Yasmin from Industry, isn't it? Here she is on the screen. Marissa Abella or something. She's, like, really great. She's, like, my new favorite actress. You know, Millie Alcock's already gone. Didn't even know her. I was like, oh, she's in like this spy movie that came out. This movie has like a 3.4 or something on Letterboxd, which is always like the worst score. The low threes, all the best movies on Letterboxd have 3.9. Like Honora has 3.9. I think Challenges has 3.9. I think Nuremberg might have had a 3.9. Like all these cool movies have a 3.9. So you're either looking for that or like a 4.4 or something for a good Letterboxd movie. Or in the case of Blonde, a 2.1 or whatever. 3.4, yeah, yikes, let's get this movie out of here. So it had that, so I was like, oh, it's probably not very good. And then it started, and for whatever reason, the movie like felt cheap to me, even though Michael Fassbender's in it. And then I like saw a Nerdwriter video about this movie, and it's by the guy that directed Ocean's 11 or something, and Nerdwriter is going on for like 7 minutes about how this is the most masterfully shot scene. It's like one of the first shot scenes of the movie that I like didn't really notice anything special about it. So that was interesting. So the general opinion is that this is not like a cheap movie or anything, but I felt like That's kind of how I felt watching it. And after he like pointed out all these things, I was like, oh, that is a nice shot. And oh my goodness, that object is in the middle disparaging them. And then they did cut to a cross shot. And isn't it interesting that they didn't do this in the formulaic manner or something? And I was like, oh, maybe this movie was good from a cinematography standpoint. The plot generally was actually okay. The plot is kind of Michael Fassbender's character's wife, who is played by the lady from Lord of the Rings, the really famous one. The one that you're always sitting there with your mum while you're watching a movie, and she goes, that's the most beautiful lady of all time. You know how girls always have weird girls that they think are really pretty? She's one of those ones. I forget her name. She's the most famous actress on the planet or whatever. And they think she's like a Russian spy or something. It's like, oh my god, is he going to betray his country or his wife or something? And that was like in the synopsis, so I was like, oh yeah, whatever, that's like a nice premise for a movie. And then it ended up not being true or something, and there was more twists and stuff. And it was like a spy movie, but it was all in like the spy building, where they were like going to computers, and it's all in like this little group of spies, and it's not like they're flying all over the place like James Bond or something. So all that stuff was kind of interesting. I ended up giving it a 4 star, so it was okay. It doesn't feel very memorable. It doesn't feel very big or epic or anything like that. And I think I am holding that against it a little bit. It is funny that Yasmin was kind of just playing Yasmin in this movie, where it was like she's clearly got typecast. Somebody saw industry liked her and put her in this movie as sort of a similar character where she's dating an older guy and she's got daddy issues and she's very like sexual and she's like kind of she's probably more competently portrayed in this at her job than she is in industry or something, but she's like the lowest on the totem pole. She's got an anger problem. She stabs her boyfriend's hand at some point in this movie for cheating on her, so it was justified. But she's also cheating on him or something. It's crazy. There's like a twist. I also thought some of the dialogue, especially early on, was a bit stilted. I don't know if I got used to it. So there was also that a bit of an issue. That definitely helped the cheap feeling at the beginning, where it's like, I don't know, it's like 2 spies meeting on a rooftop or something, and they're like, how do we do it, brother? Do this life. And I was like, ugh, this, like, bad dialogue. But it ended up being good. So Black Bag was good. It was the worst of the movies I watched this month, though, so I'm a bit defeatist on it. And we did watch it because of Yasmin. Now, do I want to watch that Amy Winehouse documentary she did or something? Not a biopic she did. I don't know, maybe. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize I put this so low. But we've got our second and final documentary of the month, Dynasty the Murdochs. My goodness, the Murdochs, they own Fox News and stuff. And every other paper in the world, apparently. And this guy here, this very old man, is like 94 or something. He's from Australia, can you believe it? And he took over world news. What national pride we must have. And Succession is completely, like, loosely based off this family where there's 4 siblings trying to get control and stuff like that. And they even very explicitly, the first 10 minutes of this documentary are all about Succession and about how they were watching the Succession episode where the thing happens. And they're like, oh my god, we got to have a plan if this thing happens in real life or something. And then they were all in a massive court battle that ended up leaking or something. And all this stuff. So there's a Succession connection here. Also, just newspapers. That's the only thing cooler than terrorism. I want to learn about news and stuff like that. And I did learn about the news. And Fox News stuff and him and scandals and stuff like that he had at his newspaper. Hacking a dead girl's phone or something to, like, get the gossip for UK tabloids or something. It was all some crazy stuff. There were lots of characters. There was ins and outs. There were betrayals and stuff like that. And I always like documentaries that go over like 60 years or something. You see the changing of the world and they're in a different... Look at him now in the 2000s. We were just looking at footage from the 70s. Isn't this crazy? He married a Chinese girl now. What a twist. And all this stuff. Everything about this I find fascinating. So that was all cool. And I think I started with these terrorism mob documentaries, but I think, I like these other documentaries more. So maybe I'll try and do some more finance documentaries or something. Some, what do you call it? Blue collar or white collar or whatever. Whichever the professional people are. Maybe I'll watch more of that stuff. Who knows? But yes, that was this documentary. Can you believe it? There were kids, can you believe it? They wanted their dad's approval. Now that's very sad. They were in Brisbane for a bit of it. That's crazy. That's where I am sometimes. There Will Be Blood from 2007. Can you believe this one? I did watch this. This is the first movie I watched. This was the movie I had wanted to watch for a while. It was like when I get back to movies, I'll watch this one. And I watched it, and I thought it was just okay. See, there's other movies, because it ends up being a 4-star movie, because obviously parts of it are really good. But this is a movie I expected and wanted to be a 5, and ended up being like a 4. So, we've got a bit of a low timbre, whereas Black Bag was like a whatever movie that ended up being kind of good. So, my spirits were high for that. Anyway, Daniel Day-Lewis here. He played John Proctor in The Crucible. John Proctor, the greatest character of all time, of course. And Daniel Day-Lewis does a good job in portraying him in that movie. It's his name, he cannot have another, and he's going to scream that, and it's going to be crazy. What catharsis. And there's going to be a scene where he has to look forward, and his wife has to, the judge is going to say a thing, and the wife lies for him, but he promised that she wouldn't, and then she fucked it all up. My goodness. The Crucible, the greatest movie of all time. A lot better than There Will Be Blood, but There Will Be Blood was very good. Daniel Day-Lewis, again, very good in this movie. That's his son, and yes, he does betray his son or something. Apparently, this is a famous TikTok meme I was not aware of. There's also the guy in this movie that's the priest that Quentin Tarantino recently said was terrible and ruined the movie or something. And there was a lot of people jumping to his defense, which was very funny. He was pretty good in the movie. He was like a miserable little dweeb. But don't worry, we literally beat him to death at the end of the movie. Spoiler! This is another movie that jumps through time quite a bit. Daniel Day-Lewis is the star of this movie. His performance, the way he talks in this movie is really cool. He's an oil man. He's going to say it like that a bunch. A lot of this movie is, oiling porn. Literally, they bash it into the ground, like a penis or something. But no, a lot of it is oh, look at the oil rig going, and here's a man climbing up. The first 10 minutes is him falling in a well, breaking his leg, slowly crawling out, and then realizing he's found oil or something. And no, I think he doesn't find oil. He finds something else at the beginning. He crawls himself back to the thing, and the next one is him driving through a long landscape or something that looks like the late 1800s, which is where the movie is set initially. And then he does this thing, and then they're building the big oil thing here, and they're meeting everybody in the village and stuff like that, and they're scouting out a house and stuff. It's a very slow-paced sort of process movie. It is very similar to No Country for Old Men, I think, which also came out the same year, which I think beat it out for the Oscar or something, or one of these won the Oscar. Actually, I think There Will Be Blood might have won it, actually. But they're very slow, methodical process type movies, which I don't think I like as much, because I feel like I like both these movies in spite of that, and they're both kind of 4-star movies. Similarly, now I do think No Country for Old Men is probably better. Actually, I don't know. The sheriff in No Country for Old Men is better than Daniel Day-Lewis in this, but he's barely in that movie. So moment for moment, maybe There Will Be Blood is better. Both of them shine, and they have very particular monologues that I think are really good. It's much more pronounced in No Country for Old Men, and obviously that's Cormac McCarthy monologuing, so it's really cool. But there is one scene where Daniel Day-Lewis is having an honest chat with a character that's supposed to be his brother that might not be. He's like, I don't really like people much. And then it slowly gets more sinister of how much he hates people. Because he is a mysterious guy, and you can't tell how much he is just taking advantage of people versus just trying to get his nut, And we mean that in the money fashion, not in the sexual fashion. Get your mind out of the gutter. So it is an interesting intrigue for the character stuff there. And then obviously where it ends up in the end is oh my goodness. But yeah, it's an interesting movie. There's very interesting parts. There's very interesting monologue stuff. Didn't quite live up to the hype to me, I think. So, there it is. There in number 7. What's number 6 going to be? Joint Security Area. Just nudged out There Will Be Blood, I think. This movie has a fantastic, fantastic final shot. This movie is a journey. This is one of those movies that goes on the immediate, I should rewatch this to get a proper opinion on it list. I felt that way even about Chungking Express and Ritual from last year. Those were immediate 5-star movies. This is not quite it. This movie is kind of in thirds, though it's kind of just the first third and the second 2/3. The first third is a investigative detective thingy where you meet a lady. She's got to go to the borders of North and South Korea. This is by Park Chung-wook from Old Boy and Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Lady Vengeance fame. 3 movies I really like. Old Boy's the worst one of them, of course. The girl is the girl from Lady Vengeance, which I didn't recognize her at all, which was funny. But she comes in, she's detecting over here. She's got to figure out, as a neutral party who is of Korean descent, but she's actually from Sweden or something. Who is at fault in this dispute that got 3, or actually I think 2 North Korean soldiers killed? and sort of unravel it. And for the first 30 minutes, it's kind of boring. It's like, oh, she's gone through here. She's meeting the people involved. They're not really giving her anything. She's walking around. There's some bad English. It's like, a little detective. Also, I'd heard a lot of very good things about this movie, and it was a Park Chan-wook movie, and he's very, like, high-energy movies, and it was very slow. Because basically what I expected this to be is a lot of, like, very high-up, harsh meetings where North and South Korea are yelling at each other, and they're like, oh, we're gonna fucking blow you up, we're gonna blow you up, and this lady has to come in, and she has to rush between the two and negotiate them not to fight. That's not what this movie is at all. It's like a detective thing at the beginning. Nobody's really going to go to war over this. It's just sort of like a procedure thing. And we sort of see the differences in lifestyles on both sides and stuff like that. Then there's a shift where we learn about the characters we've got on screen here and how they were actually involved in this conflict. I don't want to spoil too much, I guess. But you don't see that girl nearly at all for the rest of the movie. You're just with these guys. And it's a very straightforward movie even then. Of brothership or brotherhood and mateship and all these things. And at parts I found it really endearing. At parts I was like, okay, well, whatever. Bros. We're bros. We love the bros. And it was like, whatever. It's a bit simple. And then sort of it climaxes, and it's not twisty really at all. It's a little twisty. And then there's a final shot where it basically pans over a photo of all the characters involved. And it's very emotionally affecting, I think. And it's really good. And I was like, oh, wow. It's not until like that ending where I was like, oh, this actually was a good movie. I like this movie a lot. And I think with the mindset to build up to that final shot as I would watch it a second time, and also because there is a bit of a twistiness to it, like understanding what was actually happening from the beginning, would be interesting on a rewatch. But in the end, just for the emotionality of that last shot, that last prolonged shot, is definitely a 4-star movie, and one I would say I like. But yes. Number 5 is The Big Lebowski. Now, obviously, Chainsaw Man ended, and there was lots of discourse about The Big Lebowski, so I thought, fuck it, I am vaguely interested in this movie. I have been for a while. Let me go and watch this movie. The Big Lebowski is a comedy, so Elite RE stand down. Actually, it would be interesting what Elite RE thought about the movie, I guess. Initially, I did a stream afterwards where I basically told everybody, there's no Chainsaw Man stuff in The Big Lebowski. You're not going to get too much out of it. That is becoming less true the more I think about it. It is like a windy tale that doesn't seem to have a point, seems to be about nothing, and the characters don't really seem to learn stuff. So in that regard, it is kind of like Chainsaw Man, where it feels very subversive, but not in a way where it feels like it's doing big subversive things, but just in a way of it's very incidentally real. And it feels like, oh, that's not what I expected to happen type thing. And it does feel very weird and oh, we're going off in this direction a lot. And it's also very comedic. The standout character in this movie is definitely, I'm trying to make the red pointer thing come up, and I press shift and thingy, but I don't think it's working. So, I just wanted to see if it would work for a second. I had an interesting thought. This guy plays Sully in Monsters Inc., and he has the same voice, and he's the funniest guy in this movie, and I think I love every time he's on screen. He's really funny. He's a big dumb idiot. But he thinks he's definitely a genius, and he fought in Vietnam, goddammit, and I think he's really funny. There's also an interesting thing of, this is the dude over here. This is Lebowski. He's not the Big Lebowski. He gets mistaken for him, which is, the plot of the movie. What was I saying? Oh, it's interesting where it's I can't tell if this performance invented this type of guy or this performance is making fun of this type of guy. But he's an unemployed stoner drinking dude. They all are losers that go bowling as their only hobby. They got no, that one's divorced. This one, there's an implication that he's never had a girlfriend or a relationship or anything like that. And all this sort of stuff. So, and he says dude a lot, and he's like, what's going on, man? And he's that type of guy, and it's interesting. Most of the time it is funny, though, and I did this is the only movie out of all the movies I've seen where I watched a bunch of reactions after this, because I was like, haha, what are they going to think about this funny moment? And it was funny, and I liked it. It's definitely an easy movie to put on and watch a million times, which I think is probably why it's so culturally relevant. This is also a Coen Brothers movie, who did No Country for Old Men, which we've talked about quite a bit, and usually do more serious type movies. It is interesting, the opening monologue of this movie frames it almost and now it's very subversive at the end of the monologue, that it's going to be some sort of No Country for Old Men-esque movie, but it's not. There is the cowboy character that is the opening and the closing monologue, and that is all interesting too. I recommend it. I think it's pretty cool. It's not like one of my favorite movies or something. I feel like you sort of have to be of this time and have seen this when you were like 15 to have it as one of your most favorite movies. But it's definitely enjoyable. I can see, there's an easy background movie. Yeah, that's what we think about The Big Lebowski. It's also 4 stars, I would say. Number 4, we have the best of the movies I watched, which was Nuremberg from last year. This is Russell Crowe playing a Nazi. Can you believe it? Nuremberg is the big trial of the Nazis they had right after World War II ended, where they killed them all after a big prolonged trial. And Nuremberg, this movie, follows the story of the psychologists that had to decide whether or not they were all mentally fit to stand trial. Because one of them's like faking amnesia and the rest of them like freaking out and stuff like that. And here's Hermann Goering here, and he's the craziest, most charismatic man of all time. He surrendered himself to get to this trial because he thought he could talk the world into thinking that the Nazis did good or something. And he tries to win. He's very pleasant, and he starts winning people over. And it's sort of the push-pull of like, is this guy like not that bad of a Nazi, or is he just fucking with us right now? And you're trying to figure it out the whole time. It's like a back and forth. Like, is he fucking with the psychologist as the psychologist is fucking with him, trying to like test him and stuff like that? And it's like a cat and mouse game. And then we do see the courtroom drama. There's also like a whole side plot with the Michael Shannon plays the lead prosecutor and stuff like that, and there's all sort of this historical stuff. John Slattery from Mad Men plays the head guard or something, and it is funny. He really is like Roger, and sometimes, and it did come out in a few times, which were funny. And there were times where clearly the like writers wrote it for him to come out. It was good. But I'm feeling of the one scene where he dismisses the main character. Not really. He ends up coming back, and you believe it. Another interesting thing is like the handsome, secretly Jewish guard guy who like has a speech to the main character to go back at the end. He was definitely playing, like, he definitely modeled his performance off Jimmy Darmody from Boardwalk Empire. It's like eerily similar, and they also look kind of similar. So I was like, there's no way this is the same guy, and of course it's not, because Boardwalk Empire was 10 years ago, and that guy looked older than him now. Then, so it wasn't, but Michael Pitt or whatever that is from Boardwalk Empire, I think. Interesting stuff. Boardwalk Empire and Mad Men shoehorned into this movie. Russell Crowe. I don't think I've ever seen Russell Crowe in anything, I don't think. So it's interesting. I've only ever heard him talk, and he's obviously owns the Rabbits, the football company. So I've heard him a lot and heard stories about him a lot from that, of him interacting with players, probably mostly negatively. So I was like, oh my God, he's like a good actor. That's crazy. Also another famous great Australian who furthers my national pride. Can you believe it? Look at him playing a fat Nazi here. The best part of this movie, unironically, is when they play like 3 minutes of Holocaust footage, and they like show everybody in the courtroom like crying at it. And because the way you're framing that scene, it's like, oh, okay, we get it. Like, the Holocaust was bad, we understand, right? But you totally I've seen like pictures and maybe short videos of Holocaust footage before. I had never seen like videos for 3 minutes of them like using machinery to like move bodies around, and like watching them like find somebody that's alive at the bottom of a pile, or like this guy that looks like a statue who's standing there, who's stick thin and has no emotion in his face and stuff like that. And like the showers and stuff, and how like everybody's clothes were still outside, and it's like actually not a shower, it's like a gas chamber. It's like, oh my God, they just went in right before the Soviets like liberated them and filmed this footage or something. And it's like all this crazy stuff, and these massive graves, and like how the people were just living in the middle of the bodies and stuff like that. It was like horrific footage of which you've never seen, and it's like that is like the most effective part of the movie, and the movie like uses it very perfectly, because it kind of comes at the climax where you realize all empathy for the guy that's been built up so far is completely gone. And then you start to realize, like, obviously he knew this was happening the whole time, even though his claim has been that he didn't. It's like a great moment in this movie, and used perfectly. So what a narrative! It's a very long movie. I actually don't think I really like the portrayal of the main character. I think he was kind of annoying at times, and I think he wanted for more charisma than he had for this role. So that's probably a letdown. That's probably why this. I thought, is this like a 4-star movie or a 4.5-star movie? I think it's probably still a 4-star movie. But it's pushing it, and it was the best movie I watched all month. So can you believe it? Number 3 is Ball X Pit. Now we've moved into the 9 out of 10 category. Ball X Pit is like this like pinball roguelike sick game, and I finished the main story, even though I do plan to still play it for quite a long time to try and get the platinum. Though I might have given up because I literally haven't played it since I did finish the main story. So, it's like addictively perfect gameplay, where it's just like you're watching all the different balls and the elemental balls you can unlock as you slowly progress through the run and your character levels up. It's like completely addicting and like perfect in every way, which is interesting. Because I'm not giving it a 10, a 5 out of 5, because I do think, like, though it is the perfect type for this game, I think this game does have a ceiling of it. There's not a lot of emotions. It's like purely a gameplay experience. And even then, it's not totally fun. Sometimes it can get repetitive and boring, so that would probably knock a number off the overall ranking. If you're at all interested in this, you should like watch footage of it, and I'm pretty sure you'll probably download it and play it a lot. This would be a great like dozing off game, I think. Like if I had, I'm glad I played this on PlayStation and on PC, because it would be like me like 5 years ago with Bloons Tower Defense 5 or whatever, where I have like 1,000 hours in that game. Where the second I had the thought of procrastination, I'd just be like, let me just play one game. And then obviously that's a few games because you die a few times in like round 30 or something. You're like, fuck this fucking game. I'll beat this fucking game. And you just like, it's an easy like listening to something, half paying attention type game. But I was paying mostly fully attention. I was listening to something as I played, but because I was playing this sitting up on the PlayStation, so I'm glad for that. I haven't gone back to it yet, so maybe this will be the end. Like whenever I finish games, I usually intend to platinum them. It very rarely happens. I was going to do that for Clair Obscur. I never even beat all the final secret bosses or anything for that. I just beat the main story and started doing some of the side stuff and then fell off. With Crash Nitro Fueled, it was a little bit more like, I don't know if I want to invest the 10 hours it's going to take for me to get good enough at this game to be able to do these final bits that I need to get the platinum trophy. With this one, it is another one where you can play a little bit each day. Like, I could play like 30 minutes of this before I was to play The Order or something, or whatever game I want to play next properly for like an hour. Then I can watch my Pokemon episode afterwards. But yes, a great game. I've been playing it since I think last year, so it took me a while. I think I'm on like 25 hours or something in for finishing the main story and stuff like that. So I played it quite a bit. I like this game quite a lot. Game of the year in 2025, better than that shitty Clair Obscur game, I'll tell you that much. Of the 2 games I played last year, this one is my favorite. At number 2, we do have Pokemon Fire Red version. I had a lot of fun playing Fire Red with this wacky team we've got on screen. Let me tell you something, brother. These are some struggling Pokemon to go into the Elite Four underleveled with and come out on top. It took me like 20 attempts to beat the Elite Four. I'm now back at it doing the rematch after I've done all the Sevi Island stuff. And I'm back in the Torture. I have a save state right now where I've beaten Bruno and Lorelei. Lorelei is so difficult for this team. Fuck me. But I can't beat Agatha because, my god, going to sleep. You just need really good sleep and confusion luck to be able to get through this, I'm convinced. Blastoise is like easily the worst starter too. It's like not very good at much. But Fire Red is a great game. I think it is I think Gen 1 is fundamentally very good. I really love how much the game opens up after you basically... It's kind of after the 3rd gym, but it's really after the 4th gym, where there's like 3 directions you can go in, and you can do all these my favorite thing about Pokemon is like the trainer routes and just exploring things and running through and being like, oh, what's in this grass? Now I know what's in this grass and what all these trainers have because I have played this game like 7 times. And I'm intimately familiar with it in other methods by just watching videos and stuff over it and just millions of people talking about it over the years. But it's still like, oh, you gotta get this ball, and what do I want to do first? And managing that, and also slowly seeing your pretty Pokemon evolve and all that sort of stuff. It is the quintessential, like, baseline Pokemon experience, which is a 9 out of 10 4.5 star. There are games that I think are slightly worse. Like, I would say Johto is slightly worse, and it does to try to do most of the same things. Even then, Johto is still probably like a 4.5 out of 5. Then you got like Hoenn that does it better, and Sinnoh that does it better, and Black and White, which kind of abandons the things that make this game, but it's still a very great game in its own right. X and Y, I think, are good now, as I've in many different stunted little attempts played through most of Pokemon Y again. I don't know what particularly else to talk about with Fire Red. I think it's really good. It's not a 5-star, 5 out of 5 game. I do like all the Sevi Island stuff too. It's the first time I've ever actually done all that stuff, but I did do all of it, so that was really cool too. So those are like little bonuses for the remakes. But yeah, and catching all the legendaries and doing all the events on the Switch version was really cool too. That actually brings an interesting topic. It has 2004 on the thing here, because that's when the game originally came out, but I thought about probably putting 2026 in the title, because it is a slightly different version. But I didn't think about it too hard, whatever. I am going to make more videos about these games in the future, I think, both secondary and TN main channel, so we'll talk about it a lot more then. But obviously a great game and a great 9 out of 10. Now, number one is, of course, Industry, my new favorite show. Industry is a 9 out of 10. No 10 out of 10s this month. Industry, the first 2 seasons, and probably the bulk of season 3 is a 10 out of 10, I think. I really do love the characters. I really do love their interactions. I feel like it is like a step below the truly great shows even then. But the modernity of it and the girls in it, I do really, really like. Not that I nearly said Henry as I looked at Robert, but Henry is Jon Snow's character. There are things that start to be introduced in the 3rd season that I really think start to hurt the direction of the show, and this very much comes to the apex in season 4. I think the show gets very silly in certain parts. Now, the show has kind of always been silly, but it definitely gets away from being a banking show mostly, and tries to, like, there's a big episode, which is the most popular episode on IMDb in season 3 about Rishi, the guy in the red suit at the back there. Where it's like a whole like episode about him, where it's like his gambling issues and him going out and like winning all this money and losing all this money and getting beaten up and getting into a fight, coming back into the office after like the whole night out of getting beaten up and was looking like he's going to lose his job, winning the job back. He has to go to a HR meeting because he's always saying bad words. He's got to go in this and something, and then at the end of the day, he like wins it back or something. He beats up a white guy, he beats up a white guy's place and he gets his dog back or something, and then he gambles again, and it's like, oh, he didn't learn anything. It's like this big, I've seen people compare it to like Uncut Gems or something type episode. And I didn't really like it. I don't really like, it just, it felt like a different show. It felt silly, it felt formulaic in a sense, and I didn't really like it. And then this like is harpened up to the nth degree at the end of season 3, where there's literally a murder, and it's like, oh, this is like lame. Murder is like jumping the shark in shows that don't have murder in it for me. Like there's like a fake out murder in Mad Men, and I was like, oh no, they're ruining the show. But obviously it was like a dream sequence. And in Mad Men, you always kind of buy that it's a dream sequence. You never fully lose your shit or something like that. But like I didn't need any murders in succession. That sounds retarded. But they did it in Industry, and I think it was an attempt to be like, oh, isn't the world crazy or something like that? And obviously murder is realistic. It happens in real life or whatever. But also the way it was done at the dinner table, it was Rishi's wife that got murdered by the guy he owed money to. It was like a dumb escalation. It was a dumb scene. And I even liked the actress who played his wife, but it was like, ugh. And then also in season 3, there's the introduction of Jon Snow, Kit Harington's character, and I don't like any of the stuff done with him at all. It's another, like... They also changed the way they write Yasmin from that, moving into that season. It's just like a... And then in season 4, it's, like, even worse, where, like, there's a massive criminal element, and like, the main bad guy, I don't like that guy at all. I don't think he's interesting at all. I don't like his performance at all. It feels like a silly, like, spy show for certain parts. And that is even disregarding the Big Sweet Pea episode, which is an episode I really do like, even though there are elements in it that are like, this crime drama stuff is not the show I signed up for. I signed up for, like, college kids that are recently graduated, like, trying to make it in a banking environment and all having sex with each other. Like, and all having mentors that they're learning how to, like, navigate life through and their interpersonal dramas. That was the stuff I really, 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 really liked. And some of that stuff, and obviously there's the same characters are still kind of around, so we're getting callbacks to that stuff. And there is some really great stuff in season 3 and 4, but there is season 4 especially a bit of a fall off for me. There's like even Eric's, like the stuff around his character is like stuff I don't really like. Sally from Mad Men is in season 4. I don't really like her in it either though. But even then there's great moments like Harper and Yasmin scene in the finale is really good. Everything relating with Harper in like season 4 is really good. But even then, like, even though I do feel so negatively about certain aspects, I still do really fundamentally like this show. So it's definitely no more than a 9 out of 10 for me. And also the 5th and final season is coming out soon, so we'll see how they land this plane. But yes, that's The Great Industry. Everybody should watch The Great Industry. What a great show. But yeah, let's get into our overall rankings. Now, I probably should have a more dramatic way to do this, but I'm just going to click next and it's all going to pop up. Now, the blue are the new entries here. So we've got 31 things that have been ranked so far this year. Now, at the very top, we have just bad. So for like a 2 out of 10, no, probably like a 2 out of 5. So like a 4 out of 10, we have A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I hate that show. We've been over this. Pokemon Mewtwo Returns, I don't really like that movie at all. It is a 7 out of 10, but it is like significantly worse than Takopi's Original Sin, which comes in next, which is something I'm just like okay on. Like, I don't have any ill will to Takopi's Original Sin like I do to kind of the Mewtwo stuff in Pokemon. Then Florence is where the 4-star stuff starts, and it doesn't end until Limbo at number 10. So that's all 4-star stuff. And in there we have the Attack on London Bombers thingy, Black Bag, Dynasty, The Murdochs, There Will Be Blood, Joint Security Area, The Big Lebowski, and Nuremberg, which are 2 movies that are very close to the top of the 4 out of 10s, the 4 out of 5s here. Limbo is still the best 4 out of 5 this year, and I do the moment at the end of Limbo was pretty freaking cool, bro. Joint Security Area I have better than Inside, a little bit less better than Pokemon. I do have Pluribus above the Dynasty Murdoch's documentary and There Will Be Blood. Pluribus is another one where it did have some great like highs, and it was a very fun viewing experience, even though I do think overall it was an 8. There were moments of 9s in it, so there we go. Vampire Hunter D I had above the other ones. There. Ball X Pit, which is interesting. I have rated it better than Anne Roger and Ninja Scroll and Astrobot. I don't know honestly how I feel about this. Again, I can redo this sometimes. Anne Roger made me cry, so you know that had to be a good thing. But outside of that, it wasn't too terrific. Ninja Scroll is like a great movie. Astrobot is a great game. But Ball Expert is really fun, so we'll have to see. Fire Red is great. I've put it above the Pokemon movie. And Industry, we do have the 3rd favorite thing. It is interesting, because I do feel in my heart that I might like Industry better than Succession. But Succession is just so consistent that I think it probably edges it out overall. Because I'm like, the best parts of Industry I definitely like better than Succession. But then there's like, that last season has a lot of dumb stuff in it, so it like brings it down. And then still at number 1, we've got The Great Hedge Knight, the first Duncan Egg novella. Will it be outdone by the second Duncan Egg novella or something else? Hopefully. The aim of every new month should be to go out there and find our new number 1 for the year. And it will be an exciting day if we do find such a thing. But we have to wait and see for that. We have to move on for that. And look, we're at the end of the great slideshow. So that was us ranking everything we consumed in March of 2026. We'll see you back in a month for a brand new ranking of things. Get so excited for that. Support links in the description below. Thanks.